So we have, starting from the outside here, we have the extensor carpi radialis longus. So we saw that on the other side too. So that's this big muscle, and if you flip it over, it's just this topmost extensor muscle right here. So you could just flip it over and you see it's the same thing. So this would be the extensor carpi radialis longus. So it goes from the radius bone to the wrist. Extensor carpi radialis longus. Then right under that is actually the bone. So that would be the radius right here. So it literally looks just like in your picture, and you can tap it and see that that's bone. So the extensor carpi radialis longus literally sits right on top of the radius bone. Okay, and then you have a little kind of a space in the muscles, and you have the pronator teres, and that's the one that kind of crosses across the radius. It doesn't continue all the way down the arm. So the pronator teres is this short little muscle that goes to about halfway the length of the radius.
Is it attached to the radius?
Yes. So this is the pronator teres. And then we have the flexor carpi radialis, which sits right underneath that. So right here is the flexor carpi radialis. So we have extensor carpi radialis longus, radius bone, pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis. And then we have a big muscle, which is the flexor digitorum profundus. So this really thick, big muscle here. This is the flexor digitorum profundus right here. And then beneath that, we have one more muscle, which is the flexor carpi ulnaris. You'll notice it's actually separate from the extensor carpi ulnaris. If you flip it over, you see the extensor, but you can use your probe to separate, and you can see that it's not the same muscle. So the extensor carpi ulnaris is the lateral side. The flexor carpi ulnaris is on the medial side. So they are two separate muscles. So flexor carpi ulnaris here, extensor carpi ulnaris there. Okay, and then for the upper arm, we have the long head of the triceps brachii again. So we saw that on the other side. So that's right here. And then we have the epitrochlearis, which is a thin little slip of muscle that kind of runs along the midline here. So the epitrochlearis is this thin little muscle right here. So very flat and just kind of sits along the inside of the upper arm. And then there is the, let's see what else we have. The musculocutaneous nerve and the radial nerve you can see here. So the musculocutaneous nerve is smaller. The radial nerve is a little bit further up. So this big one would be the radial nerve. So you can see it's white, and it, it's pretty clearly a nerve. And then the musculocutaneous is smaller. It's kind of hiding in here. So this would be the musculocutaneous nerve, very small, like a string. Okay, between those two nerves, you have the extensor antebrachialis parvis. So that's just this small muscle right inside here. So extensor antebrachialis parvis. And then at the front of the arm, you have the biceps brachii. So here's the biceps. Okay, so triceps brachii, long head, epitrochlearis. Here's the musculocutaneous nerve, the little or smaller of the two nerves, musculocutaneous. The bigger of the two nerves is the radial nerve. And then in between you have this extensor antebrachii parvis and the biceps brachii at the front. Okay, so upper arm and lower arm.